But speaking of an expansion team, Portland Fire came in hot and announced their new head coach, which is Alex Sarama, someone I wasn't too familiar with, but he was a former Cleveland Cavaliers assistant. He also has some Portland ties. He was a Rip City Remix, which is their G League team assistant coach. This is big news for them. This was a huge step in like legitimate making them a legit expansion team, making them a real team. So what was kind of your reaction to the Fire's hire?
Yeah, he has the biggest thing with him is he has, and I can't, this CLA, I think is the initials are, it's the European style and process of
Yes.
development and all this stuff. It's become really, or it's growing, I'll say, stateside in that technique of how they're producing these an increasing amount of incredible European players. And, we spent a good time talking about Malonga. Obviously, on the men's side, there's an incredible influx of international talent. And so this style that he is part of, I think, is something that made him attractive to the Fire. Their general manager, Vanya, comes from the Valkyries, and she's international. The Valkyries clearly took a very international approach to them building their franchise. I'm not saying that the Fire are going to go about the same direction as the Valkyries did. I think it's hard to exactly replicate it, but I think they were trying to find a new approach, a new style, maybe something that fits in with Vanya's vision for this team. So I think that's kind of like the biggest thing to know about him.
Absolutely. That was the thing that stuck out to me. The CLA approach is constraints led approach. And when I'm reading about it and I'm learning about it, he wrote a book called Transforming Basketball, Changing How We Think About Basketball Performance. So it's very much this high level new approach to basketball, which has been around for a very long time, and how people have traditionally maybe coached basketball. Now, here's my thing. I say this every season because last year we had a lot of new head coaches. It can either go one way or another way. It can go amazing. And what we saw with a Carl Smesko, a Natalie Nakase, like we are coming in, we're doing this thing, and look at us go. Or it could not go so great. Because here's the thing, when you have this approach, the players have to buy in. They have to be all in on this approach. They have to say, great, we love that you're coming into practices and it's not the same drills every time, and it's creativity and it's different. And this is why the Cavs loved it. The WNBA players could be like, no, we don't like it. We don't mess with it. We're not for it. That's not for me. So that's with coaching in general. You have to have the players buy in. So I'm so curious to see how players are excited about this newness, or are they like, this is a little too new age, a little too hippie for me.
Right. And I think what I'm building off of that, I think it's almost, if they're going to do this incredibly new style and stuff, it's almost better that it comes from an expansion team versus a firing of a previous coach. You run it back with a similar group, let's say, and all of a sudden you're going from what it was to a completely new world, where I think when you enter an expansion, you're kind of giving yourself to this process of, or like heading into a place that has never existed before. We're in for something new, no matter what that newness looks like. Again, it's when I spoke with a lot of Valkyries players, one of the reasons why the Valkyries worked as well as they did is because Ohemanyanen, their general manager, she made sure that every single person who stepped foot into that facility understood that exact thing of this is unlike anything else for every single one of us, but you have to give yourself to that process. And so to your point,
Mhm.
if you are selected in the expansion draft to Portland, if you sign with them in free agency, if you are selected by them in the collegiate draft, you have to know that this is going to be like, you have to give yourself to this process. Maybe you do end up hating it, but like this is gonna, it's new for everyone involved. And so
Mhm.
I'm very curious to see how that works, especially because, like, again, it's going to be an entirely new group as well, who we don't know how they play together in any situation, let alone
Yeah.
this new style system. So I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think that is a great point. This is the time, the chance, the opportunity to do
Yeah,
that with an expansion team with nothing coming over previously. I will have to say that some people were not too happy, just the fact
yeah,
that maybe it wasn't a well-known name. Maybe it wasn't a
yeah,
former player, a former WNBA player, somebody who was kind of in the coaching mill. Um, Names kind of popping up, getting first chances rather than this man
yeah,
coming in to get a chance.
yeah.
I think once you know more about the philosophy and this ideals that he stands on, it makes sense why you go with him and why it's
Yeah,
exciting and
yeah.
interesting. Not saying that other coaches aren't deserving, but I think it's just always hard. I think that whole
I
conversation
think it
of
is.
should there be more women coaches, men coaches, former players, it's just a lot.
It's
I'm glad I
it,
ain't hiring.
it
Let
is
me just say that.
yes, and I completely agree with you. And it's like it's one of those situations where both things are true, and
Yeah.
those situations to me are the hardest to navigate. Where, you know what, the fact that there's only one woman of color who is a coach in the WNBA is kind of absurd. Like, that is really, really wild. And there's no black, and it's no black woman. It's Natalie Nakase, and she is incredible. And what she has done for the Asian American community is
Jesus.
inspiring and outstanding. And there needs to be more. Um, and there's so many deserving women, and women of color in particular, who deserve to be head coaches in this league and
Mhm.
other leagues. They should be front of the bench, behind the bench, on every inch of the decision making, player care, everything. And
Mhm.
in the same breath, you can say that this person who was hired isn't undeserving. And those are
Mhm.
the toughest, because it's always easier to, when the person isn't deserving and you say, oh, like, they aren't good. Their resume is bad. Like, why are
Mhm.
you doing
Mhm.
this? Oh, it's any situation that's always easier saying boo to that person because they actually aren't deserving. But when they are, and you still have this problem, which the league does,
Yeah.
it's super confusing. And so, I hope, right? We have a lot of other coaching vacancies to
Mhm.
get to: Seattle, Dallas, New York. I'm super curious to see what direction they go in, because, again, like, there's just no way. And I'll even say, like, me saying that there shouldn't just be one woman of color as a head coach in the WNBA. I'm also not saying that just because it is the WNBA, but, like, there are people in this sport and in this world who could be incredible leaders of organizations, and that's
Mhm.
why I say, well, there should be more. It's not, for me, it's not just like, oh, we're in women's sports, so we need more. Like, it is part of that, but like I said, I think there should be more female coaches in every aspect, because if there is someone with the correct resume who is deserving of it, then they should be put in those positions. And there's a lot of really strong candidates in this pool.
I couldn't agree more. I'm it makes me more curious to see what those other teams are going to do because there luckily are some other opportunities out there. And the candidates
Yeah.
are there's some really, really good ones, and I just hope they make the right choices because
Yeah.
they know if you make the right choice, like, there are some great consequences and there are some not so great consequences. So what season do you wanna have next year? I'm
Yeah.
so curious. I'm so, so curious about it.